Africa should cultivate its human resources potential as a performance resource. This is a view of Jeremy Langley, Regional Director for Western Europe, Middle East and Africa at human resource management firm Lumesse. He was delivering a presentation on talent retention strategies in Africa. Langley believes, however, that the South African human resource landscape is poised for a perfect storm, a series of challenging conditions that will impact negatively on organizational growth and development.
My perception is that HR in South Africa has become somewhat risk-averse and traditional in nature, largely administrative. And I think that's because for the last 15, 16 years it's become obsessed with regulation and compliance for good reasons, but that means it's stopped looking outside and really focused internally, and that's been bad for South African businesses.
What do you think is the overall effect on organizational development and leadership?
Very simple: economic stagnation and bad management. So if I'm working in an organization where I have a manager who is not very competent, who isn't rewarding, who isn't coaching me, and I have an environment where it's not very easy to go out and get another job, I'm going to sit for 2 or 3 years and become increasingly resentful. The minute the economy comes back as it is doing, I'm going to use that opportunity to get my CV out into the marketplace and go to an organization who values my skill and my abilities more highly than my current employer.
Another question facing South Africa is that of performance evaluation, return on investment, and reward for employees.
Performance management starts with strategic objective. So I need to understand where the organisation is trying to get to, and ideally that should be documented into a series of fairly measurable goals. What I then do is I take that performance, that objective, and I cascade that through my organisation so that your goals make sense to the organisational goals. Then when you succeed, I reward you in proportion to the quality of your work. So it's very, very important that I do 2 things. First of all, that I understand where the organisation is going, so that you understand the point of your job, and secondly, that when you succeed, I pay for results because they're delivering to the organisation's goals. If you don't link to organisational goals, I'm really just paying you to turn up, and as an organisation, I'm losing one of the most important leverage points for driving productivity.
Langley believes that Africa has proved immensely capable of producing world-class leaders and can grow its human resource potential beyond current stereotypes.
When anyone looks at Africa, what they see is a huge wealth of untapped resource, whether it be mineral wealth, whether it be gold mining, iron ore, etc. People tend not to look at Africa as a source of talent, but what we have in Africa is a huge source of talent that actually, if we can harness it, and I understand the expression that you use in South Africa is beneficiation. What we're really looking at is beneficiating, if that word exists, beneficiating the talent pool that we have in Africa, bringing it on board, using education, using learning, using performance management tools to actually make that the biggest source of export for the African economy. So I think the potential is absolutely enormous, but what we have to do is grasp it, invest in it, and rather than seeing the talent challenges in Africa as being a problem, start seeing them as an opportunity.